Role-player adventure sample gameplay. Come on back after the break. Hey everybody, welcome to the show Board Game Reviews. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to the tabletop gaming hobby, and this video is part of a video series looking at the game of role-player adventures. Now in this game, I'm actually going to play the full very first adventure for the game. So let's start off with, before we go anywhere, there's going to be tons of spoilers in here, but in an effort to minimize the spoilers as much as possible, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to basically speedrun this. When it comes to the point where we have lots of choices, I'm going to make sure I do as minimum choices as possible. I'm going to use as minimum items as possible. And basically, I'm just going to do the key points that I know is going to advance the storyline. Two reasons why I want to do this. One, I want you to see exactly how the game plays, because sometimes people don't want a review. Some people don't want a tutorial. Sometimes people just don't want an overview. They want to see how the game plays, because some people just look at a game, see how it plays, and go, yep, that's a game I'm going to like, or yeah, there's no way I'm going to like that kind of game. So I want to do that, let the people who enjoy that kind of content enjoy that content, but I also want to minimize the spoilers. Now there are some really good things built in the game that allow you to play the game multiple times. They're going to add to the replay variety, but I figure the faster I run through this, the more you can play maybe similar paths without actually having the storyline spoiled. So having said that, I am going to play with the expansion, which is the backgrounds. Why? Well, because I think it's almost mandatory for the game. It just adds so much extra to the game. If you're thinking about buying the expansion, do it. It makes a huge difference for the game. Those backgrounds tie into the story in so many intricate ways you would not even know if you didn't have it. And it's kind of cool. So having said that, the very first thing we're going to do is we already have our hero set up. We have our starting 7 gold. If you look over here at our campaign tracker, we have a rest token, our bonus play. We have 4 cards we can play, 3 combat dice. We're going to start with 7 gold. And guess what I forgot? I forgot the factions. It's a funny thing. I told you I was going to speedrun this. Not even worry about faction. Okay, I'm going to worry about faction, because otherwise that'd just be very, very terrible of me to do so. So all of our factions are going to start with 0. I have my starting hero cards that we start with every time we play the game for this hero. Our hero in this adventure is going to be Zemeric Steelshale. He's a Saurian Templar who uses the white experience, or the white alignment cube for him. Since he is the Saurian Templar, his background they always get is the patrician. So I'm going to go ahead and read that background. Now again, like I said, this is going to be full of spoilers. If you want a spoiler-free playthrough, I don't think it's possible. There's really no way to see how this game plays without tons of spoilers. So let's go ahead and start with spoiler number 1, which is going to be our background story. And I will go ahead and put the camera over here in just a second after I cover up the bonus extra text, because now you're ready to go. Patrician. You come from a distinguished family. Material things have never been your concern. Life in your stronghold bores you, so you have decided to seek adventure. Take me with you, Eunice demands, but your sister is still far too young. With tears in her eyes, she promises to write. Your father barely glances up from his books as you pack your bags. Traveling under a false name to hide your royal ancestry, you head to the city to start a new life. True to her word, Eunice sends letters. Pellegrin, her prize falcon, serves as her messenger. At first, he comes nearly every day, but as the years pass, the time between Pellegrin's visits grows further and further apart. As you lay awake one evening in the hopes of seeing the bird land at your regiment's campfire, you receive an unexpected guest, a woman with a strange, serpent-like face. You stepped out from beneath your parents' shadow, she whispers. Your destiny is in your own hands. With that, she vanishes into the dark corners of the night, lingering in your mind like a vision from a dream. Patrician player, record these adventure numbers and location letters in your backstory board. Now, the interesting thing about this, well, you get to see the backstory for this character. Again, this isn't really spoilery because everybody's going to have this read out loud. You're not going to see how the Patrician story is going to evolve, because their story is not going to evolve until the second adventure. So, not too spoilery yet, but hang on, because we're about to hit spoiler territory. Adventure 1, Battle at Black Lake. After 1,000 years of peace, Dragul armies raided from the north, prompting you and every other loyal citizen of Nalos to sign up as soldiers of the King's Guard. You have thought long and hard against the Norse monstrous generals and their minions. And I guess I should say fought, not thought, but hey, maybe you're thinking about fighting, or fighting about thinking, who knows. Now, under the command of General Grick, the Dragul armies have been routed from Nalos, but an ogre and his minions still hold camp nearby. Their outpost protects a secret coveted by King Terron. Your mission is to best these minions, defeat the ogre, and seize whatever treasures lie within. To support your effort, the king has sent Tarek Nowlin, a roguish halfling and Terron's personal agent, to meet you by the shore of Black Lake. You soon suspect that Tarek knows more of this outpost's secrets than he leads you to believe. So at the very start, we have to do the very basic setup that goes along. We have to set up the adventure map. We have to put out the exploration experience points, which I put out at all 4 of the locations. Our party journal, we need to place the bonus play token like we've already done so. We gotta get our character sheets ready. Our encounter tokens need to be ready out there, which is gonna be encounter tokens 1 and 2. These are gonna be randomized and they're gonna be placed out there. We don't know, one of these is 1, one of these is 2, and that's gonna be dealing with the Tome of Adventures. So now we just get to go to our adventure begins. As a Kingsguard soldier in the regiment of Commander Zalek, a dark elf, you have fought a long war. The Dragul, a coalition of northern tribes, invaded Nalos, your homeland. After many battles, you have driven off their hordes, but rumors spread through the camp of a new Dragul plot. One night you are summoned to Commander Zalek's tent, where you find him arguing over a map with General Grick, who is an orc. A gold coin marks the southern city of Sabek. A vial of elixir marks a swamp to the west. General Grick raises an eyebrow when you enter. "So you're Zalek's best?" he asks, looking you over skeptically. "We have a special mission for you, but first, a question of strategy. Zalek wants to take your regiment south to investigate a threat to the capital," says Grick, pointing it to the coin. Then pointing to the vial, "I think we should post west and capture a powerful Dragul agent in the swamps. What say you?" So now we get our very first decision in the storyline. Do we want to make our general, or I'm sorry, our commander look bad to curry favor with the general? Or do we want to make sure that we stay in the good graces of our commander and not have an argument and let that be dealt between our commander and the general? Well, our Templar, looking at him, we are a patrician. We know that we have the unfortunate trait of obnoxious. So being an obnoxious person, I don't think we're going to care what the commander thinks about us. We're going to go out and look out for our own personal best background. But looking at our background, we know that we are trying to get away from our noble birth and try to create our own story and everything like that. So I think what we're going to do is, those 2 points are making us want to side with the general. We're obnoxious and we want to create our own storyline. So we're going to side with General Grick and learn more about the Dragul plots. So we're going to begin with 1. So we're going to take out the storybook and we're going to switch to story number 1. You point to the vial of elixir and General Grick laughs, patting you on the back. "Yes, exactly," he says. Zalek nods. "I'll leave you to it," he says. He collects his coin and exits the tent. Recording keywords. We are now supposed to record the keyword Grick. I'll do that in just a second after we get done with this page here. "You can keep the vial," the general says to you, rolling up the map. "You'll need it where you're going. Leave now and travel due east until you reach a small enemy encampment. A special operative, King Terron, will meet you there. You collect the elixir from the table and drink it down. With a nod, the general sends you forth. Gain 1 experience point. You make haste under a crescent moon, crossing burnt and abandoned farmland into open prairie. At the top of a bluff, you look out over a dark lake to a wooden outpost. Place your party marker on location A and read entry number A." So let's go ahead and put our adventuring party over here on location number A, which is the Borland Prairie. But before we go any further, we need to update our campaign tracker here really quick. So the first thing we're going to gain is we are going to gain 1 experience point for a decision that we have made. So we're already starting off on the experience train here really, really well. And then we need to put down the keyword Grick. Now remember, Gricks. Remember Gricks. Keywords are only good for the current adventure we're on. All these keywords we're writing down, we're going to erase, so make sure you're using pencil. So we're going to write down the keyword here of Grick. And then we are done with that, and now we get to go over to our adventuring map, the Battle at Black Lake. So we have the Battle at Black Lake adventure laid out before us, and now we got to go ahead and read section number A at the Borland Prairie. Now the wonderful thing about the adventure book here is the very first adventure kind of walks you through the mechanics of the game, kind of reinforcing the mechanics we've already learned from reading the rule book. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to explain us about action indicators, which we already know because you probably watched my tutorial video, and if not, go and watch the video. So it's going to say here, if there's no experience at this location, go to A1. Well, if we look at our wonderful map, we're going to see that there is an experience token at our location, so that's obviously not what we're going to do. So it says, otherwise, collect the experience from this location and continue reading. So let's go ahead and take that experience from this location, and we're going to add that over to our campaign tracker. And now let's go ahead and continue reading. As you look out over the lake, a voice calls from a thicket behind you. Care to come join me? You turn to discover a friendly halfling, roasting apples and hares by his fire. You look like you could use a meal. You disregard the halfling, and he chuckles, then stands to salute you. Tarek Nowlin, special operative of King Teron, confident of the immortal night and bearers of bad news and terrible secrets. Now come, eat, and rest, for now we have hard work ahead of us. As you eat, Tarek speaks in a hushed voice. The lake below is dark, for the Dragul filled it with the blood and ashes of their dead. Our mission is to secure the outpost. The northern shore is guarded by an encampment of goblins, weak but many. Knowles stand watch to the south. We need to eliminate both camps, so take your pick. You go one way, and I'll go the other. Burn down their camp to signal your progress. I'll do the same. Terry pulls something from his pocket and tosses it to you. We'll need this at the gate. So now it's going to display discovery cards for us, and then it's going to tell us to go ahead and reveal discovery card number 65. So we'll pull out the deck of discovery cards, and let's fan forward to number 65. And reveal discovery card number 65, which is going to go into the party treasury, and that's going to be the Bluestone Fireball. If we decide to use the Bluestone Fireball at any one of the locations, it's going to cost us 1 stamina to do so, so we probably don't want to start burning items just yet. But the rulebook is going to tell us how we're going to use items. But let's go ahead and skip that, and let's go ahead and continue our story right here. It's going to ask if we want to use an item, or do we want to move to another location, and it's also going to explain how to resolve encounters. Well, we already know how to do that, because I'm assuming you watched the tutorial video, so let's go ahead and bypass that and move on with the storyline. So now we have a decision we have to make. Do we go to the north and head to the Goblin camp, or do we go to the south and head to the Gnoll camp? Well, let's just go ahead and do this very quickly. Our traveling band of me, myself, and my invisible friend right here are going to travel to the Goblin camp, but on the way to the Goblin camp, we are going to have an adventure encounter. So we'll need to flip over this adventure counter and see that we're going to get encounter number 1. So now we need to pull out the Tome of Adventures and find out exactly what adventure is going to occur to us for adventure number 1. So let's go and switch over to that and find out what kind of encounter we're going to have to deal with. Battle at Black Lake. Ignoring the instructional text right here, you freeze in place when you hear a sound ahead of you on the trail. Quietly creeping in a cover, you look ahead and spy a 6-limbed insectoid sentry pacing back and forth across the trail. 2 sets of arms each hold a short bow with an arrow notched and ready. It seems that you have to deal with the sentry if you wish to take the camp by surprise. 2 options. I can sneak around the sentry, which would be Dex and Wisdom, or I can wrestle him to the ground and knock him out. Well, let's go and look at our statistics. We see that Strength I don't have Dex. Wisdom I don't have Dex. So do I go for my Wisdom or do I go for my Strength? Well, let's see here. Let's look at the kind of cards we have. I know I have cards that allows me to pull out lots more strength. So I think I'm going to go for the strength. Besides, I'm obnoxious. It sounds like an obnoxious thing to do, just to go ahead and just wrestle this guy to the ground, knock him out and say, hey, I go where I want to go. You hide behind a tree and wait for the insectoid sentry to approach. Then leap out and attempt to force him to the ground. It's a skill check. If we pass, we pin the sentry down. If we fail, he evades capture and raises an alarm. So now we're going to do a skill check of Force 1. So let's go ahead and pull out the skill manual and find out what we need to do to succeed on skill check for Force number 1. So look at the skill book, we see that Force 1 is going to be a red, a black, and either a red or a black. We need a 2, a 4, and a 3. So let's go ahead and look at our character and see our statistics and figure out which kind of dice we need to use, because this is going to be a dice limit of 4 dice challenge for us to complete and accomplish. And I don't think this is going to be too darn hard for us. So let's go ahead and start spending some skills. I want to try to make this really be a good success. So I'm going to burn 1 stamina to pull out 1 red die out of the bag. I'll burn 1 more stamina to pull a... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to pull a red die, because I just remembered I can pull 2 red dice just by playing a card here really quick. So why don't I go ahead and get my dexterity? So I'll go 1, 2, and 3 to get the off color, which will be the black die. So I will reach in my bag and I will get 1 black die out right here. So now this is a skill check 4, so now I need to reach inside the bag here and grab out 2 more dice, 1 at a time. Black and Oh wow, black. This is going to be nice and entertaining. So we need to roll all 4 of these dice and then see if we're going to spend any skill dice or any of our cards that will influence how these dice are going to turn out. So we're going to roll. We'll get a 3, a 3, a 5, and a 2. So looking at the cards in my hand and the dice I rolled, it looks like I could probably get it close to completing this challenge just with the dice I have out there. I probably just missed one of them. Because I have the Blessed Mace, I can bring the red 3 down to a 2. That'd be one of the dice requirements. I can use this to flip that 3 to a 4, but now I'm still missing the black or the red 3. So that's basically what I'm really missing at this point. So I really want to complete the skill challenge, so I'm going to start playing some cards. We're going to play 4 unless I go ahead and use my ability for my bonus play token. Not quite at that point yet. So let's go ahead and use our exile card. Actually, that's one that's going to be to spend 2. So let's increase our odds. I'm going to go ahead and spend Tremor, which means that we can pull out 2 red dice, and we're going to roll both of these red dice. So 1, 2 red dice. If either one of these is a 3, or actually, yeah, if either one of these is a 2 or a 3, then I basically got it. Let's see what we got. It's not a 2 and it's not a 3. Well, that's definitely not what I wanted. Gets a little more challenging now. So let's go ahead and spend our second card, which will be our Gorget, and I will go ahead and re-roll one of the red dice. So I'm basically locking this over there, and this is already taken care of. So let's go and re-roll this one. Oops. No cheating. Reroll and we will get cocked eye. That would have been a 2. That would have been a 2. Ah, there's a 2. So now we're done. We've managed to succeed in the challenge. So let's go ahead and show you exactly how we're going to succeed in the challenge. But before we do so, I need to play 1. Actually, I need to play, one more card. So before I can do anything, I need to play Tumble. Tumble is a card that'll be discarded, not a spent card. This is only my 3rd card I spent here. Allows me to flip a 3 or a 5 to an opposite side. Well, I'm going to flip this 3 to its 4 side. Now let's go ahead and go over to our skill book and see how we're going to succeed in the skill challenge. So we'll place the 2 right there. We will place the 3 right there, and we'll place the 4 right there. Complete success. We are going to gain 2 experience points. I'll put the 2 experience points on our campaign tracker. We are up to 4 experience points total right now. And now we just got to reset this, place all these dice back in the bag. That is it for our very first encounter. Our very first skill check was a raging success. We're doing really darn well so far. End of it, let's go ahead and grab our cards back in our hand that were discarded. They were not spent. And now we need to make a decision what we need to do. But first, let's go ahead and finish the story because we succeed in our skill check. Let's find out exactly what's going to happen in our adventure book here. So success in our skill check says you pin the sentry down, go to adventure 1-9. So let's flip over to that page so we don't get any spoilers going on here. Adventure 1-9. You spring from hiding and quickly tackle the insectoid sentry to the ground, disarming him and knocking him out. The bug won't give you any further trouble. You hope that the rogue is having as much luck in his side of the lake. Record the keyword clear. So now we're going to pull out our campaign tracker. Now we're going to add the keyword clear. Just go ahead and write clear under our campaign tracker right there. Again, we got our 4 experience points and we got our 7 gold still. Tarek is handling his side of the lake. Remove the other encounter token from the adventure map and return it to the box. We will not be able to experience that encounter at all. Again, this does add to the replay of the game because that's one encounter that I don't get to see. So I'll have to play this game again to see this adventure. And again, like I said, that does add to the replay variety of the game itself. Let's go back to the book. Continue adventure 1-14. Before heading forward to the camp, you take a moment to catch your breath. The crescent moon reflects eerily off the glassy black surface of the water. Do we want to do a rest action? The first choice indicator below gives you a chance to do a rest, or we just continue on our merry way and continue to move. I'm going to go ahead and do a rest action here because again, I'm trying to show you the most gameplay without spoiling as much. So let's go ahead and look to see exactly how rest action occurs. So the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out how many experience points we want to spend. Let's go ahead and spend 1 experience point for the rest action here. And once that experience point is spent, we can go ahead and go to the bag and we can pull out 1 die. We'll pull out 1 die and we'll roll, and this is how much fatigue we're going to get back. We'll get back 2 fatigue. We'll place that 2 fatigue back here over in our supply jar right over here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fill up both of our, or all of our attribute rolls here back to their normal maximums. This fatigue is going to stay here. So we're going to go back up to 2 strength. We're going to go up to 2 constitution. We will go all the way up to, if I can get these cubes out of here, 3 wisdom, and now our hero is back fully rested. Now if we look over here at our campaign tracker, now since we did a rest action, we need to go ahead and flip that back over to the rest side, showing that we cannot rest anymore until we complete another skill or another combat challenge of some kind. So basically resting is no longer available to us. But that's a-okay. We get to go ahead and continue with the adventure by continuing on our journey all the way to the Goblin Camp, which is going to be number B. So back to the adventure book and let's find out what's going to happen at location number B. So we're going to gloss over the actual rules and everything right here because, again, I'm assuming you already know how to play the game, or at least watch my tutorial video and have a rough idea of how to play the game. But let's go ahead and see how we're going to do this. It says if there's no experience at this location, go to B1. Well, let's go ahead and look at our map, and we see that there is an experience token right here. So it says collect that experience token from that location, and we'll go ahead and add that to our experience pile. It says if you have the keyword null, we're going to go to B7. We don't. We have Grick and clear. If you have the keyword alarm, go to B2. We don't have that keyword. Matter of fact, the keyword we have the keyword of clear. So let's go ahead and continue reading from clear. It says continue reading. The light of several small campfires flickers through a chaotic grouping. The light of several small campfires flickers through a chaotic grouping of boar hide tents. Short, long-eared silhouettes move hastily, busily about, pulling up stakes and securing provisions. It seems the goblins are preparing to move, likely in retreat. While they're distracted with their work, you sneak around the perimeter, whittling down their numbers one by one and pulling the bodies away into the dark. We're stealthy little ninjas. It's not long, however, before a goblin sentry spies you. She raises a horn to rally her kin. You race forward to silence her. So now we're going to get the chance to do a combat. So this combat is going to be a cornered goblin number 22. So for this just means that we are going to go over to our enemy deck and we're going to find the goblin, which is number 22. And then we're also going to find the modifier, and the modifier for this is going to be cornered. If we succeed, we're going to go to B5. If we fail, we're going to go to B6. So let's go and grab that cornered goblin right now so we can see what kind of battle we need to. So looking at the cornered goblin, we see at the start of the skill check for each round of this combat, add a random die to the dice pool. This does not count against the dice limit. So that means that normally, since the dice pool limit for my current party, because my combat value is 3, I'm only normally going to start with 3 dice. But since it's a corner, it says at the start of the skill check for each round of this combat, or for each round of this combat, I'm going to add 1 random die. So basically that means instead of having 3 dice, I'm going to have 4 dice every single round. So that's going to help me, and we're going to see it's going to be a red, a white, and a green or a black. Well, green is actually something I can do. I can't do black, but I can definitely do red, and I can most definitely do white, and I'm going to get 4 dice to choose from for this whole thing. So let's go ahead and start our combat. First thing we're going to do, as we do with any single combat, the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and figure out which kind of dice that we are going to get out of our bag by looking at all of our possible stamina that we could spend here. And of course, we have our little combat tracker. If you ever forget, that's right here. The game does come with nice player aids for combat and a player aid for the skill check, so you don't forget how to do everything. So let's go ahead and figure out what we want. We know we need a red, a white, and a green or a black. Well, the nice thing is I can add 2 red dice. I'm not worried about getting the red. That's actually pretty darn easy for me. Green and black may be a challenge. So let's go ahead and spend 2 right here to go ahead and get a green, 2 greens. So let's draw 2 greens out of the bag. Remember, I get a total of 4 dice here at the start of it. And now I need white. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 2 more of these to go ahead and get 2 white dice. The reason why is because I have my trimmer card back. Because since I did the rest action, rest is nice. Rest gives me back all of my spent cards also, which is why I did that rest action. To make things a little bit easier. Of course, I'm burning through experience. That's the negative here. So I have my 4 dice. So let's go ahead and roll our 4 dice here, and let's hope for some good, really, really great results. Who knows? Maybe I'll take them out in 1 try. That'd be really awesome if I can do that. So we got a really good start here so far. I have a green 6, which is one of my requirements. I have a white 5, so basically 2 of my requirements are settled right here. I just need to get a red 5 somehow. So do I have any way to manipulate that white card right there to maybe have it do something else? Can I make that into a red anyhow? I don't have the ability. Well, I can make any die into a white, but I don't need to do that. So what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and burn Tremor again. So Tremor is going to allow us to reach into the bag, and we get 2 red dice, and we're going to go ahead and roll those 2 red dice. And we're looking for a 5. If we get a 5, life is going to be super duper awesome for us. And I didn't. I got a 6 and a 1. But we have a way around that because we have our blessed mace. It's been blessed by Almighty Olympus, or I don't know what gods they have in this world. Almighty Ziggy the Mighty. So let's go ahead and spin the Blessed Mace. It says decrease a red or a white die by 1 or 2. I'll turn the 6 into a 5. So let's go and apply our results here. We are going to go ahead and win this challenge quite easily. So we got the 5 for the white. I have the 6 for the green. I have the 5 for the red, and this goblin is quite handily defeated. So let's go ahead and gain our rewards here. So we're going to gain 1 experience point and a 2nd experience point. That should be pretty darn easy for us. But the nice thing about this is not only do we gain the experience points, since we complete a battle, we now have the option of rest has now been returned to us. Let's go ahead and return to our campaign tracker and show the nice things that we're going to gain in our campaign tracker here really quickly. First things first is going to be 2 experience points for defeating the goblin. And then our rest token is going to be flipped back face up. So let's go ahead and return all these dice back into the bag again. And the goblin is defeated. It is no longer a corner. Let's go ahead and return these to... Nice thing is these are organized alphabetically. Keep them alphabetical. It makes your life so much easier if you keep these alphabetical so you don't have to dig through them. Same here with the enemy cards. It's not a big deal if you keep it all organized. If you're nice and super organized, this is a breeze. If you're one of those people who doesn't like to keep things organized, it's going to become a pain in the neck. Basically, when you're playing 2 players, one person is your person in charge of digging through the cards, the other person's in charge of setting everything up. That's really pretty much the easy way to do this. Let's go back to our adventure because we succeeded in defeating this goblin. Let's find out what's going to happen next in our storyline. You grab hold of the goblin sentry and strike her down before she can sound the alarm. With this done, picking off the rest of the camp is easy work. When every last goblin is gone, you set fire to their tents. Something catches your eye in the firelight. Reveal discovery card number 95. So now we're going to go over to our discovery deck and we're going to cycle through this until we find discovery number 95. And now this is going to be added to our party, which is going to be the ancient key. Let's go ahead and add this to our party treasury, and then let's go back to our storyline right here, and it's going to say, record the keyword goblin. Well, let's go ahead and add the keyword goblin over here onto our keywords. And then another fire rises from across the lake. You trust that Tarek is making good progress and will meet you at the fortified gate ahead. Now the rulebook is going to tell us how to do item combinations. Again, if you watched my tutorial video, that should already make sense to you. So let's go ahead and bypass that. We can use an item, we can rest, or we can move to another location. Well, I'm not going to use any items because like I've already said, I'm trying to minimize the spoilers here. So by ignoring using these items, these are little experiences that you can have by playing the game. I'm simply going to do the rest action really quick, and we're going to go ahead and move on with our storyline. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick rest action, which is going to cause us to burn 1 experience point, which is going to leave us with 5 experience points. Not too big of a deal. That's pretty much more than we really need. Let's go ahead and roll the 1 die, and we will gain back 1 stamina. We're really rocking it. But we did it mainly for the dice, and we did it also, mainly for the cards. And we also did it mainly just to go ahead and refill all of our abilities here. So we're back to 2 Constitution. We are back to 3 Wisdom. And again, we have 5 Stamina or Fatigue. If our Stamina Fatigue level equals our health, or it's hard, then we're going to be knocked down. We're going to have to suffer one of the deaths there. So let's not worry about that because we don't have to worry about that just yet. Of course, since I did a rest action, we're going to go ahead and flip our rest token over, and then we're going to continue with our storyline and find out what's going to happen as we move on to the next location. Moving on to the next location, we are going to arrive in location number D. So let's go ahead and go to our Battle at Black Lake storybook and find out what happens to us at location number D. D, Outpost Wall. If you have the keyword open, move the D to. Our keywords are Grick, Clear, and Goblin, so it does not apply. There's no experience at this location, D1. Otherwise, collect the experience from this location, which we do have, and we'll go ahead and add that to our campaign tracker, and then we'll continue reading here. It says, you approach the fortified outpost as the moon sets, leaving you in utter darkness. Behind you, twin fires burn on either side of the shimmering black lake. You feel your way across the rough wood of the outpost's massive gate, but can find no handle or latch. Yet the gate holds firm. It must be barred from within. Behind this wall, the Dragool are protecting a powerful artifact. Tarek Nowlin, the halfling, is nowhere in sight. So now we have to actually use an item, and we have to make a big old boom item, because if we look at our items right here, we're going to use item number 65. I mean, it should be obvious to all of you. It's called a fireball. If any of you is questioning whether we need to use a fireball on a big wooden gate, you haven't played a fantasy game ever in your life. Big explosion, 20 feet by 20 feet, wooden gate. It ain't going anywhere except down into ashes. So how this is going to work is we're going to look for D number 65. So it's going to return back to the storybook. D65. You uncork the bluestone fireball at the base of the fortified gate and run for cover. A thunderous explosion tears a wide flaming hole in the wall, giving you passage through. Record the keyword open. So we're going to go to our handy dandy campaign tracker and we'll record the word open under our keywords. Not a big deal. Reveal discovery card 16 and place 1 experience point on it. So we're going to go back to our map, find discovery number 16, and we'll see how our map is evolving already. So the way these are going to be laid out, if you ever look at these, you're going to see a symbol and a Roman numeral, which is going to basically tell you exactly where this is going to appear. So we have a circle right here, which means it's going to be this row. And I think you can see on the camera, you should see these little points right here, which is enough room for a card to fit. So this row, number 4, we're going to place this new location right here. And of course, like the instructions say, we are going to add 1 experience point. And guess what? We have a new location. The map has evolved for us, which is kind of the cool thing about the game. The maps are never as simple as what you think when you start playing them. Return discovery card 65 to the discovery deck. And now we can rest or move to another location. So looking at our map, we see the next location we're going to have is the Outpost Interior, which is letter E. So let's go ahead and go to letter E in our storybook. Outpost Interior. If you have the title, Revealer of Secrets, go to E18. If you have the title, Rogue's Accomplice, go to E1. If you have the title, Aid to Ogre, go to E17. Otherwise, collect the experience point from this location and continue reading. Well, the secrets I have are the keywords. I'm sorry, I don't have any titles at all. So obviously, no, that's not the case. So obviously, that means we're going to go ahead and collect the experience point from this location. And that does mean that we're back up to 7 experience points. Doing pretty darn good on the experience points. Back to our storyline here. You pass through the smoldering hole and enter the Dragool outpost. Its massive wooden walls are solid, but roughly constructed. They enclose an open space, empty except for a single chest of white metal and a gray-skinned ogre who stands before it with 1 gigantic iron club. Little alliteration. Gotta add a couple words sometimes. Makes it more fun. The ogre shouts in the Dragool language. It's gibberish to you, as if he were making all the sounds but none of the sense of Nalos common. Between his angry cries, he smashes the metal chest with such force that it shakes the ground around you, but the chest only rings out a remarkably pleasant tone. It remains unbroken, undented, and firmly in place. Enraged, the ogre approaches you, shouting and swinging his club wildly. As you watch his outbursts, you catch a glimpse of something moving in the shadows behind him. Tarek Nowlin, blade drawn, carefully approaches the ogre from the other side of the outpost. Do you attack the ogre or try to understand what he is saying? Well, what do we want to do? Do we want to attack him? Or are we going to try to understand his gibberish? So we're either go to E2 or we're going to go to E3. Well, looking at this, we see that trying to understand his gibberish is going to be an intelligence and a wisdom. I have no intelligence. I have lots of wisdom. I can get at least 3 white dice out of this. Probably have a pretty darn decent chance of getting this. Of course, my intelligence is pretty much in the gutter, so I won't be doing too much like that. But I'm also obnoxious. So would an obnoxious person yell at the halfling to stop chasing him, or would an obnoxious person, being self-righteous and all full of himself, attack the ogre? I think we're going to attack the ogre. Let's go back to the story. The ogre throws himself at you with all the ferocity of a cornered animal. He swings his iron club wildly and races towards you. Combat, Tog, 52. Well, at least it's a straight-up fight. If we win, we're going to go to E4. If we lose, we're going to go to E7 as he thrashes us. Well, let's hope we're on our best guard and our best game, because we have to defeat an ogre now. So revealing this ogre, we see that Tog is going to be a fairly decent challenge. We know that he's going to take 4 dice to defeat. He needs red, he needs green, he needs white, and he needs blue. So it's a little bit challenging on that aspect because it's going to be 4 dice we need, and we can only roll 3 combat dice. Luckily, we know we can add 2 red dice into the mix at any time we want, so we know things are actually in our favor. So let's go ahead and look at our character sheet and find out what kind of stamina we want to spend to go ahead and make sure we survive this encounter. Here's the trick though, we are already starting to accumulate stamina loss into our fatigue. Remember, if he does any damage to us, that's going to be more fatigue added, and we could be knocked out. So it's not quite as easy as it looks. I can't just keep throwing fatigue at this, because eventually I'm going to be knocked out, and I don't want that to happen. So I know blue is tough for me to do. I know green is tough for me to do. So let's go ahead and spend, I got 3 dice. And remember, this battle could go for multiple rounds here. So let's go ahead and spend 1 for a green. And I'm thinking I want to get at least 1 blue. So let's spend 1, 2, 3. No, I don't like that. I really don't like that at all. Why don't I just go for the whims of fate and hopefully hope that he does not thrash me too much on the first round, because I know I'm going to get some red dice. Let's just hope this goes in our favor. You know what? I'm going to spend 1 stamina to make sure I get 1 white die. So there is 2 of our dice, and remember our combat value is only 3, so that means we only get to draw 3 dice. This isn't like the prior counter where the corner goblin actually allowed us to get 1 extra die. We don't have any modifiers as combat, so we're basically stuck with what we got here. So let's go and pull our die and see what we get. So we will get a blue die. Let's go ahead and roll our dice. And lots of, yeah, that's actually lots of terrible. Okay, let's go and look at our cards and see what we can do here. So we have lots of options available to us, but remember, we can only spend a total of 4 cards per combat round, unless we want to go ahead and spend our bonus play token. So the first thing I'm going to do is we are going to go ahead and spend Tumble. Now, the nice thing about Tumble is a discard. We will get it back at the end of this combat, assuming we survive. So let's go and flip this 3 to a 4, which is going to cover one of the requirements we need to win this battle. Next thing I am going to do is I am thinking that I am, see here, that's going to happen with red or white. I already got white taken care of. Get 2 reds. See, adjust the blue, that's not going to help unless I can, wait, can I flip that? No, I did my flip, that would brought it to a 5 to a 2. Actually, I could have did that also. Okay, I am, darn it. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and use Tremor. Tremor's been our lifesaver for a lot of these fights, but let's go ahead and grab out 2 red dice and see if Tremor is going to be our lifesaver again. So we have a 5, so that does satisfy one of our other requirements right there. Now, is there a way we can, let's see here, we have this and this. If we look over here at our combat tracker right here, we see that we've got this taken care of and we got this taken care of. We have the green 6 and the blue 3. That's going to be a problem. Let's see if we can figure out how to make these 3 dice work in our favor. Let's see here. I really would love to not take any damage at all. If I can draw out a blue die, I would actually be really, really good. So let's go ahead and see if Exile is going to work in our favor. So I come over here to the bag and we'll reach inside the bag, and if we pull out a blue one, we will be wonderful right now. And we pulled out a blue. Nice! So this is going to come out as a 3 because the Exile says this comes out as a 3. So let's go and place this on a 3. So the only thing we're lacking is that green 6. Looking at the cards, let's see, I have spent a total of 3 cards, so I'm not breaking the rules there. I still have a couple cards in my hand. I don't really see how I'm going to make that green 6 happen. So let's go ahead and resolve these dice that we got so far and go ahead and resolve the end of this combat round. So that'll be a 4. This will cover the 3. This will cover the 5, but now we're going to go ahead and take the end of the round things that are going to happen to us. So the first thing that's going to happen is we will lose 1 experience point. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 2 points of damage. That's going to come out of the pool, and we're going to add that directly to our stamina fatigue. So that does put our fatigue total here at 9. Wow, our fatigue is getting up really high. 7 more fatigue, and we are knocked out. So we took the 2 points of stamina damage right here, and we took the 1 point of experience loss right here. So now let's go ahead and advance the combat round, and now we're going to go ahead and start the next combat round. All these dice go back in the bag, and now we need to start all over from the beginning. So all I need right now is a green 6. I cannot manipulate green very well, so I'm going to go here and spend 1 stamina right there to go ahead and take 1 green right now. I will spend this, and I will spend my 3 strength, or my 2 of my 3 strength. 2 of my strength to get a total of 3. Apparently words are hard today. And I'm going to go ahead and get 1 more green die. Can't do any more manipulation. We're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 fatigue right now. Basically, this is the Hail Mary play. If I don't get this now, we get to find out what happens when you get knocked out. I don't really want that to happen. Hey, a white die. Come on, dice. Come on, cards. Come on, everything. Be in my favor, because at this point, my cards can't do anything for me anymore. This is literally the Hail Mary play right here. If this doesn't work out, I am completely lost. So, we got a 4, a 2, and we got a 6. So let's go ahead and put that 6 over here. And we have completely managed to defeat this ogre. So our rewards for defeating the ogre is going to be 4 gold and 2 experience points. So let's go ahead and clear this up, or clean this up, and go ahead and gain our rewards here. So we'll gain 2 experience points, and we are going to gain 4 gold. I'm actually doing really good on gold. We're going to be like the little Monty Hall here going on. So let's add the card back into the enemy deck for number 52, and then we can go ahead and continue our story and find out what happens after we defeat the horrible, horrible ogre. Again, keep the cards in order. It makes your life so much easier. So much easier. Again, when you're playing with 2 players, which is the average way to play this game, best way I actually suggest playing this game, when you're playing with 2 players, have somebody control the cards and the other person control everything else. This goes really super smoothly. But let's go ahead and go back to our story and find out what's going to happen to the rest of this adventure over here in the Black Lake. For victory here, it says that we are going to go to section E4. So let's go ahead and flip the book to section E4 and find out what happens next in our storyline. E4 says the ogre cowers under your attack. He drops his club and falls to his knees, but his strange ramblings do not stop. At your mercy now, he continues to rant and point at the chest. Finish the ogre and get on with your work, or listen to him more closely. Well, I know what I want to do, because I just know what I want to do here. But we're trying to speed this up. So let's go ahead and have an interesting outcome. Let's go ahead and go to E5 right now. So heading over to E5, we get to see that we're just not nice people. You end the ogre's life quickly and mercifully. Tarek approaches, sheathing his blade. Nice work, he tells you. I didn't have to do a thing. So reveal title card number 3. And this is going to be the title of Horrible Human Being. So reveal title number 3, and it's going to be Rogue's Accomplice. As Black Lake, your mission with Tarek now ended with the death of an ogre. This battle will not be forgotten, neither by the halfling nor the ogre's ghost. Well, I sense that there may be a ghost of Christmas past coming to haunt us. So next thing we are going to do is we're going to advance our favor markers here. Now we get a good chance to go ahead and introduce the favor markers here. So our favor with the crown is going to go up by 1, and then our favor with the Dragool favor is going to go down by 1. Now we're going to look to see if we have any of the keywords here. So do we have goblin and alarm? We do not. Do we have goblin and clear? We do have goblin and clear. So that means that we are going to go over to E3 next. But before we do that, let's go ahead and advance our favor track. So looking at our favor track here, we see that our king's favor is going to go up by 1, and then our starlet stays the same, and our Dragool favor is going to go down by 1. Now that the outpost is calm, Tarek relaxes on a tree stump and carves slices from an apple. Your approach to the goblin camp was impressively quiet. I didn't hear a peep from your side of the lake until there was a whole lot of screaming and dying. Nice work. Let's continue on to E21. Tarek points to the metal chest with an apple wedge. All that's left for me, he says, is to figure out what's locked inside. Upon closer inspection, you discover the white metal of the chest is the dergolium, an ancient alloy forged to contain objects from other planes. No force will crack it. Its lid must yield to some other secret. You find a pear-shaped indentation above its keyhole. Tarek notices your interest in the chest. You can return to your regiment now if you like, or you can stay and help me open it. Now again, like I said in the intro of this video, we're going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, so we're going to go ahead and stop doing any more exploration, meaning I'm not going to show you what the ancient key is used for, and I'm not going to show you what, or maybe how, if you can, get into that chest. Let's just go ahead and hop over to the end and figure out what's going to happen to our storyline. Your mission at Black Lake has ended, and Tarek Nowlin wishes you Godspeed as you return to the rear regiment. My own mission takes me elsewhere, he tells you, but I have a feeling we will meet again. As you travel back, you have time to collect your thoughts and puzzle over the things you've seen. Now we're going to look at which titles we've earned, and the titles we've earned are going to judge what specific final ending bit we're going to get here. Now remember, we got the title of the Rogue's Accomplice. Let's see what that says in the book here. Rogue's Accomplice says, the slack-faced and limp body of the slain ogre appear in your mind. You have put an end to many Dragul invaders during this long war, but for some reason this ogre's death left an impression. Of all the Dragul that you have killed, he was the only one who ever tried to communicate with you. You find yourself wondering what you might have learned from him if only he had lived. So there's one little story bit we're going to go ahead and read, and that's going to be the conclusions. Let's go back to the book. So this is going to be nice and easy here. It says if you have the keyword Zalik, N1. If you have the keyword Grick, N2. Well, we know we have the keyword of Grick, so let's go to that part. Upon your return, you find your regiment preparing to march. Orders to move west, a soldier tells you. General Grick is advancing on Bog Root Swamp. We report to the general, who smiles when he sees you. Just in time, he calls. General Grick hands you the letter from the King Taron. It seems the king's hometown has been attacked by a giant troll, and he wants you to bring him its head. My duties take me to Bogroot, says Grick. So when you're done with the troll, you'll need to meet Zalik in Savik for your next assignment. Grick slugs you on the shoulder to bid you farewell. You head toward the coast. After a 2-day march, you can smell brine in the air and hear the call of the gulls. Soon you will arrive in the halfling town of Jolev, where you must fetch the head of a troll for your king. Of course, there's a little bit more to the storyline. Again, it's all going to be based on the titles and the keywords you have. But it says here, if you do not have the title Revealer of Secrets, go to end number 3. So let's go ahead and flip over to end number 3, which is going to be a little story bit that is going to be really, really important. On the trail of Jolev, you are greeted by an elvish messenger who hands you a parcel from Tarek. Inside, you find several empty chainmail sacks made of Dorgolium and a hastily written note. The chest at Black Lake was more important than we knew. Similar Dorgolium vaults are hidden all over Nalos. Each holds an artifact of great power. You must find the vaults, open them, and confiscate the artifacts. Place what you find in the enclosed sacks, or else risk unleashing horrible power. TN. I think we know who TN is. Probably going to be the halfling. It's definitely not the ogre. Or the ogre's ghost. Yeah, probably not. Tarek is a special agent of King Tarn, and his orders are not to be taken lightly. You tuck the Dorgolium chainmail sacks into your pack and continue your journey. Each player may now advance your character, clean up the adventure, and save your characters. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of endgame cleanup so you can see exactly how that works, so you understand the leveling up process and what happens when we level up. So the very first thing we are going to do is, since we finished the story here, we're going to head to the market and we're going to spend some of our experience. But to do so, let's go ahead and clean up the map. Anything that we received, our discoveries, are going to be placed back in the respective discovery deck. So card number 95 is going to go back in its location. This location, number 16, is going to go all the way back in the deck right here. The nice thing about these cards is, since the game does not require you to shuffle these cards, you don't have to sleeve these cards. So hey, there's a little bit of money saving for all of you out there who are wondering, do you need to sleeve all these cards? Nope. The only thing you need to really sleeve are the adventure cards, which is the weapons, armor, and I should say need, because you don't need to ever sleeve anything. But if you're a sleever, the adventure cards, which are basically the armor, the scrolls, the traits, basically the things that are going to go in your hand of cards. Nothing else in the game is ever really shuffled, so it's actually really super nice. So I never gained this 1 experience point. Oh darn. Let's go ahead and clean up the map, and then let's go ahead and bring our little campaign tracker here. And let's go ahead and level up our sole hero, who has been on this wonderful journey across the lands to go ahead and discover what exactly is going on in these terrible lands and these terrible times. So the first thing we need to do is all of this gets cleaned up. It's not going to be carried forward at all. Even if we are going to be starting the next adventure immediately, we can still clean all that up. What we're going to do is set our character off to the side with our deck of cards that we currently have, and we're going to go ahead and get a hand of new cards that we can purchase from our marketplace. So we're going to shuffle up the weapons, and I'll just randomly draw 1 weapon out right there. We will shuffle up all of the traits. I'll randomly grab 1 trait and place it right there. Next up, we are going to do is we're going to shuffle and gain a random skill. And next up is going to be a random scroll. And then finally, the last thing we get to do is we're going to get the final deck here, which is going to be a random armor. Let's go ahead and reveal that armor right here. And these are all the cards that are going to be in the marketplace. And we can purchase any and all these cards just as long as we can afford these cards. So some of these cards are going to be good. Some of these cards may not be so good, but we're basically going to try to level up our hand and try to figure out what cards we want. I can tell you right now that we probably want the chain leggings, because the nice thing about chain is chain interacts with each other. As you play chain cards, you'll notice that they have the ability on them that additional chain cards do not count towards your card limit. So if I have that chain leggings, I can play that plus my chain gorget, and that it's going to count as one of my 4 cards I can play at any time. It's probably a really great card to have. So we're not going to spend any of our money yet. We're just going to simply place this off to the side, and we're going to spend some of our experience points. Now, if you pull out the rule book, you will look in the rule book right here, and on page, I think it's 17. Or wrong, nope, page 17, we're going to see the cost it's going to cost us to level up all of our abilities here really quick. And we need to make sure we're going to do this leveling up before we actually spend our money in the marketplace. So if you see this, there's going to be a table right here that says we can increase a character's health by 1, which is going to cost 1 experience if our current health is less than 25. 2 experience if our current health is 25 plus. We can increase the party's combat dice limit by 1, which is going to cost us our current value plus 5, so a total of 8. We increase the party's bonus play limit by 1, which would be the current play limit plus the current bonus play limit plus 5. So our current play limit is 4. Our plus limit is 1, so it's total 5 plus 5 is 10. I have, what do I have? 3, 6. I only have 8 experience points. So obviously I am not going to increase our play limit at all. And then finally I increase the party's mastery level, which is going to be the cost right here. And every time I go up on the mastery level, everybody in my party, for every one of these, is going to raise one of their stats by 1. As long as we're in this earlier section, no attribute score can go beyond 4. So that does mean right here, for our current hero right here, I could not raise my wisdom past 4, so I could not spend like 6 experience points to get his wisdom to 5, because the current limit is 4. But I could spend stuff there if I really want to. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to burn all 8 of my experience points, and I'm going to use that to go ahead and raise my combat dice limit from a 3 to a 4. One thing I've learned about this game, combat dice is one of the things where you may get hampered a lot, because some of those monsters just start hitting really, really hard, and you want to take them out as quick as possible. So that's all my experience points spent. So now let's go ahead and spend our money in the marketplace. So I think we have 11, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Hey, math is a wonderful thing. So let's go ahead and look at the cards that are available to us. I have 11 to spend. I don't have much purple power at all, do I? Actually, I have decent purple power. Not a lot. I have 1 purple card. So Devious is going to cost 8. A Spike Club basically allows me to manipulate red. Chain Armor allows me to, reroll red and white. So what I think I'm going to do is well, actually, hold on. That'd be 7 plus 4. I think I'm actually going to do that. This is going to cost 8 minus my charisma. My charisma happens to be 1. Let me slide this up so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So my charisma happens to be 1 right now. So this is actually only going to cost me 7. And allows me to flip up to 2 purple dice. Flipping dice can be very powerful. That effectively doubles your rolling power right there. So I'm going to spend 1, 2, 3, 4 on the chain leggings. And then I'm going to spend 7, 2, 4, 6, 7, which is basically all my remaining money, for a total of 7 gold. And I'm going to go ahead and add charm into my hand. The rest of these cards that were not purchased are going to be returned back to the market deck. And now this is my hand of cards that I'm going to carry forward into the next adventure, and basically into all future adventures. That is a basic full gameplay for the game of Role Player Adventures. This is the first adventure, basically sped run us a little bit to kind of bypass some of the spoilers for you. I hope you really appreciate me doing this. I know some of you really enjoy seeing the entire story, but I want you to enjoy the gameplay, enjoy what the game can produce for you if this is a game you're interested in. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this video series. If you have any comments or questions, make sure to leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I will definitely answer them as quickly as I can. And also feel free to email me off the shelf board game reviews. That's otsbgr@gmail.com. I'll definitely answer emails as quickly as possible. If you enjoy the content and you enjoy the videos I put out there, think about supporting the channel on Patreon. Just $1 on the tip jar can help me cover my costs, help keep the channel growing strong. The channel doesn't have the luxury of having sponsors or the luxury of getting tons of free games. Basically, most of the content you see out here are games that I purchased by myself or from the generosity of my friends in my gaming group, especially when we look at games like Role Player. This game is actually owned by one of my friends who let me borrow it because they wanted me to put out a video series for it. You can help me cover my costs. Just toss $1 in a tip jar, help me cover my costs so I can keep on bringing out more content for you. If you enjoy this video, if you enjoy this video series, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.